guys, next on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, if you would, the Oklahoma flag salute. I salute the flag of the state of Oklahoma. Its symbols of peace unite all people. And then, folks, we'll have a moment of silence here. Thank you. And next on the agenda, we've got opening comments from me. And one of the things I want to talk about, I'm going to be brief because I know we're going to have this whole presentation on the Skills USA, and I'm really excited for that. I got to go visit Indian Capital CareerTech Center out in Tahlequah and got to see our statewide welding winners that are going on in the national competition. And it was awesome to see that their project was, I know Director Aiken was there, got to see them when they won the state competition, but they had 2 hours and they were given the materials and then they get the diagram of what they got to weld. And it was absolutely incredible what they did, and they were talking me through it. One young man had no experience in welding, came to the CareerTech Center. The instructor over there got him on fire with it. You meet the teacher there, and you see why. And boom, he is just in love with it. And I said, hey, you're gonna have no problem getting a job. And he said, oh, you think so? I go, I know so. But they're really excited about the national competition. And we started going through a lot of their previous winners. I got to meet some of the previous winners from that CareerTech Center and talking about how much they're looking forward to this national competition. But I can't tell everybody how proud I am of our CareerTechs of not only getting students these skills that are workforce ready, but I love this kind of competition of guys, let's go show how great you guys are at the Skills USA competitions, and let's go compete nationally. I went in one of the rooms and there were all the banners from all the previous champions. I love that because I think that it does a great job of showing our students how exceptional Oklahoma's CareerTechs are, because it's the sense of, we want your workforce ready, but I've loved the CareerTech's drive to say, hey, we're the best in the country, and we want to go out, we want to showcase that, we want to continue to build upon that reputation, and I think that as we continue to make decisions as a board, I think that it's a great mentality that we continue to say we are one of the best CareerTechs in the country, but we always want to seek ways to improve, and I've continued to hear that from leadership around the state. I love getting to travel around the state and get to meet the young people involved, but again, seeing the staff and seeing this culture and mentality has been very inspiring, and so I can't wait to hear how they do. And so in my opening comments, I just wanted to acknowledge that our young people will be competing nationally. I think Oklahoma is going to take home a lot of the prizes from what I've been told, and so I look forward to that presentation, and I want to commend our CareerTechs for pushing students to be workforce ready and really push them to go, hey, be a leader in the country in this. Show how exceptional your talent is and show what that can look like across the country. So they're doing us very, very proud, and I was very, very excited to get to see that. Next, we got some comments from Director Aiken. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to you.
All right, thank you for your comments, Superintendent. First off, thank you to the SDE staff for getting our technology going. I know sometimes it could be a bear. We appreciate that, guys. Thank you to the board members. The time that you dedicate to be here is valuable because it makes a difference to the lives of Oklahomans, and that's what we all support. So we have a lot of guests today that are going to present about their CDSOs and what's going on, what they have done, what they are going to be doing, so I think that'll be exciting, so I'll keep this pretty brief. I want to tell you a few things that we're working on. Legislation, first off, that you guys are always interested as I am in the budget, and everyone is. That will drop soon. It is not yet, but maybe by tomorrow, possibly first of next week, we'll know kind of what the budget looks like, so I can give you an update then. The bill that did pass, or the bills that have passed, state bills that will help the education package for SDE also have an impact on our instructors in technology centers. So not just the ones that are in comprehensive schools, but also the instructors that are in technology centers. So that'll be good for all of those instructors. The one thing that we're missing that I'm going to work for is our skills centers instructors. They're not part of that, so I'll work toward getting them the same type of compensation. So we're working on that. Last Friday, I had a meeting with Secretary Curry, and first time I got to meet her was great, fantastic. All of our exemptions will go through her, so that was great for her to come to the agency, see what we do, see how all the arms of delivery work, so very fantastic meeting with her. In June, on the 12th, we have a state staff meeting that all of our staff from the agency that are in the field and there in Stillwater will come together, so you guys are more than welcome to attend and be a part of that. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to miss, because that's the day that my daughter presents in DC her National History Day contest, so I'm gonna be there, unfortunately, so you guys are more than welcome to come. We are in the hiring era right now, the time of year when you do all your hiring, so the shifts happen in education, so the agency is no different, and some of those go back to the field and work, and some of them move within the agency, so if you see a lot of job openings, that's normal for right now, as the shuffle is happening. With the teacher shortages we all are aware of across our state, we're part of that as well, so once one move starts happening, all the moves start happening, so you're gonna see that from superintendents all the way to instructors, so just normal things that are going on. And with that, any questions that you would have for me, I would entertain, but I think you're gonna enjoy more hearing from the guests that we have today.
And next on the agenda, we have discussion and vote on the minutes from the April 20th, 2023 regular meeting. Do we have any comments or a motion there?
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Ms. Jones, you wanna call and roll?
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Gandy?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Superintendent Walters?
Yes. So the minutes from the April 20th, 2023 regular board meeting have been approved. So now, getting into what Director Bacon was referring to there, on some of these presentations that we're really looking forward to. We've got Ms. Goff from the Skills USA. She's a state advisor. Give us an update here.
Good morning.
Good
morning. My name's Emily Goff, and I am completing 2 years as this Oklahoma State Skills USA advisor. Before that, I taught 21 years of 7th through 12th grade. My last 12 were at Morrison High School as their BMIC teacher. So I have a little experience in the classroom. Next slide, please. So this year, we increased our membership almost 1,500. So we're up to 15,554 members in Oklahoma. And that includes, we have the National Post-Secondary President. We have 2 state officers from Northeast Ted Claremore. We also have 2 from Canadian Valley El Reno, and 1 is running for National Secondary Office this year. We have 2 officers from Canadian Valley Chickasha. One of those is running for Post-Secondary National Office. I have 1 post-secondary officer from Middell Technology Center, 3 more from Autry, which includes the secondary president. I also have 1 from Tulsa Tech Riverside, and then I have 2 from Mid-America. So we're all over the state for our state officers. So next slide. Next slide, please. I talk computers, so I get this. Okay, so this year at our state conference, it was from April 23rd through the 25th in Tulsa. We had over 2,000 competitors this year, and we had over 4,000 in attendance. So we run a pretty big show. We run 3 sites for leadership. So at the Hilton downtown, that is where our individual speaking contests take place. At the Doubletree, that's where our group contests for leadership take place. And at the Cox Convention Center, that's where our exhibits take place. So like our welding sculpture exhibits, because you've got to see the welding. So I think this year's state winner for the welding sculpture was a largemouth bass coming out of the water, grabbing a fishing lure. It is very cool. We did actually win Post-Secondary National in sculpture last year, welding sculpture. It was a Native American bust complete with a copper braid and a wolf headdress on it. It was very cool if you ever get to see that. We also run 8 sites for skills contests, so we are different in that we just can't have anybody come in and judge. You actually have to be from industry or certified in that area to judge our skills contests. So we run a lot of different sites. Owasso, Tulsa Tech Owasso, has our photography and our culinaries. The 798 Pipeliners Union holds our welding and welding fab. Tulsa Tech Riverside does IT, aviation, and video contests. Limley does our job readiness contests, and those are for our special needs populations. We do have a few that do go on to nationals, but for the most part, those are state-only contests. We have Broken Arrow, Tulsa Tech Broken Arrow, that does diesel and our machining. We also have OSU IT that does automotive and collision. The Doubletree does our engineering and collision. And then we also have the Cox Convention Center. And I would highly recommend you guys come look at us next year. It is so cool to see the exhibit hall. So we have robotics going on. We have graphic design contests that includes video game and web design. We have 2 different CAD contests. We also have the criminal justice, which does include crime scene investigation. We have the cosmetology, and then all of our construction trades, which includes one of the big ones at Nationals is Teamworks, and that's where they actually build a small house. They get 2 days to build a small house. This year it included stairs. It includes wood and metal studs. It includes electrical, plumbing, windows, masonry, siding, roofing, and a door. So they have to complete that in 2 days. But we have grown so much in Skills USA in Oklahoma that we actually have quite a few that actually run before contest. So we have motorcycle and truck driving contest that runs at Central Tech beforehand. I'm working with the John Thorpe at the truck driving school there, and we are looking at, with Next Gen Trucking, to actually start a national truck driving contest. Northeast Tech does Lyman Rodeo and Marine. Eastern Oklahoma County does our firefighters because they have a tower. Canadian Valley does sublimation. What sublimation is see your coffee cup in front of you? Sublimation is adding images to coffee cups and to different things like that. So they did have to produce a coffee cup this year. And then Meridian Technology does our mobile electronics installation. So we are all over the place, and that is what we do. And we demoed, next slide, please. So we demoed heavy equipment this year. It is a demo for nationals. They had to have at least 15 states in it, and we demoed this. And Dana Stevens at Southern Technology Center produced this video because it was at Southern. Next slide, please. Oh, there we go. It's a very cool contest. I think you guys will enjoy this. Oh, go back one, please. There you go. Can you click on the link? If not, I'll send this slide deck to Angela, and she can send it out so you guys can look at this. Is it working? It probably had an ad in front of it. That's not the video. It's an ad. I'll get it sent out. Yeah. If we need to.
Tell us a little bit
Okay, so heavy equipment, it's a skills contest, so it's not just driving and digging. So they had to actually take a bulldozer and knock a tennis ball off of a cone without knocking the cone over. They had to take tires and they had to put them in circles with excavators. And then they also had to pick up like a soccer ball and put it in the trash can. So that's what it shows. So it is a very cool contest. That one does run ahead. We'll just go ahead and skip the video if you guys are good with that, and hopefully we can get it to you guys. So next slide, please, guys. So I wanted to highlight a bunch of our industry partners. Let's see if we can get our industry partners up there. So some of them that you're going to see come up is Lowe's. And Lowe's is our national partner. Lowe's provides Skills USA money every year, so that allows us to give out prizes. It allows us to provide rebuild, like this year we had to rebuild plumbing tables. Tyler that you see up there, they donated at least $30,000 in cast iron pipe and fittings. Burmax will come out and judge for us. And you see a bunch of them out there for diesel. Kicker helped us run mobile electronics. They also helped nationally, and they provided some really good prizes. GRDA did the lineman rodeo. We do have a lineman rodeo. Next slide, please. There's a lot of industry that we have. So you notice that we have some trucking and that we have some construction. We also have an HVAC program. So the HVAC carrier and ream do come out. We have some diesel in there. Advanced Technology Consulting, that's our robotics. Thank you. We do a lot of the unions come in because that's where we can pull from our, for our industry partners for judges. You see quite a few. Tulsa Tech's in there, American Airlines. You have any questions about any of them, just let me know. Lincoln and, go back, I'm sorry. Lincoln and Miller actually provide welding fab, and collision welders when they win. So not only are these industry, but they also provide lots of prizes. Everybody in Teamworks gets a DeWalt drill when they, who compete. Next slide, please. So we do have the motorcycle. So if you make it to nationals and you win at nationals, nationals provide you your classroom with a Harley. So there's some pretty cool prizes. At nationals in the Texpo, they roll out the new BMWs, the Lexus, you name it, it's down there on the floor to look at. They bring in the big trucks. A lot of these have to do in this slide with our video productions. Snap-on provides us with quite a bit of tools for our people that win first and second and third. And then if you notice, the OSBI actually comes in and helps judge our crime scene. Next slide, please. And then there's some more of them. Some of them have to do with our sublimation, like Dupree's, haircuts, newspaper. There's all sorts of stuff. Next one. So upcoming events that we have coming up. So Skills is not finished until the end of June for our this year season. So we have Summer Leadership Institute, which is a summer camp that I host at Enid, NOC and at Autry. And it is a Monday through a Thursday, and the kids come in, and my state officers teach them leadership skills and about Skills USA, and we have a lot of fun. We do a cookout, we have a fundraiser night, we do all sorts of fun stuff, and the kids stay in the dorms, and they have a blast with that. Nationals is coming up June 19th through the 23rd. Last year, we were the second highest medal count in the nation with 74, right behind Texas Secondary. But we did come out with quite a few. We had 38 golds. That's quite a bit. And then we have district officer training that kicks off our skills workshops in the fall, in August. So if you look at that piece of paper that I gave you, that lists all of the conferences that Skills USA hosts throughout the year. So we do quite a bit. We're very active. Does anybody have any questions about Skills? Thank you. Thank you. And I'll get that sent to you guys so you can see that video. It is a very cool video.
Thank you very much for that presentation there, Emily, and appreciate the work that's being done there. And again, the amount of conferences, I did not know that there was that many that you guys were a part of and hosting and working with, so that's absolutely fantastic. And again, I think we want to continue to promote Skills USA, and it's a great showcase for our state, for our CareerTech system. So appreciate all the work that's being done there, and it's a great. And again, the kids are very excited about it. It's something that I think gives them something to really look forward to and really showcase all the skills they've acquired. So I think it's fantastic, and I appreciate you giving that highlight. Do you have any comment?
Fantastic, thank you, Emily.
Next on the agenda, we have visiting business, marketing, and information technology education, student organization, DECA, state student organization, and their state and national leadership conferences. An update here from Mark Birch and Ms. Paxton.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Birch. I am the program manager for business, marketing, and IT education. I'm going to do my best to stand in one spot. I'm not usually very good at standing in one spot and speaking, but I'm going to do my best this morning. I've been with the agency for about 6.5 years. Most of that time has been in this division. And the good thing is I started out as a state advisor where Ms. Paxton is now. Went to program specialist. Now I'm in the program manager position. So I've kind of seen the full scope of it, which has really helped me in the position that I'm in now. I'm only going to spend a few minutes kind of giving you an overview of our division, but I want to yield most of my time to Paxton to really highlight what our students are doing, because our goal is to maximize their potential and really highlight what they've done throughout this year. Next slide, please. This is just kind of a picture of our division. We have 4 program specialists, really, but I'm one of those because I actually have a region that I manage, also with managing the division. Each of our program specialists have about 100 teachers that they service throughout their region. We also have our administrative assistant, James Gordon, there in the middle. And then, of course, we've got Paxton that handles not 1 CTSO, but 2. That's how our division's a little bit unique, is we have both BPA and DECA. So we put on 2 state conferences per year, as well as our fall leadership conference. So next slide. This kind of breaks down our regions. We're broken down into 4 different regions. I handle kind of the western region over there. It's a little bit of our smaller region. It's really spread out, but that's because I don't have as much time as the rest of them, of course. And so that just kind of gives you a breakdown of our regions. And all of this is really broke down on our website in case you all ever want to go and check that out. Another little side note, we've not always been BMITE. That acronym used to be differently. And as a teaser, if you want to learn more about our division and you want to learn what that acronym used to be, please check out CareerTech Conversations that I did with Connie Romans a couple of weeks ago. It's about 12 or 15 minutes long, but if you want to know what that acronym was, please go check that out. Yeah. Next slide. Okay, our cluster areas, of course, we've got information technology, finance, marketing, and business management administration. Just to give you a couple of maybe highlights from those cluster areas in terms of programs that are popular, within IT, we've got cybersecurity, graphic design specialists. That's just 2 of them. Within finance, accounting associate, banking service representative. Within marketing, digital marketing specialist, PR rep, entrepreneur. And then, of course, in BMA, anything from admin assistant to medical coding specialist, just to give you an overview. Next slide. By the numbers, so we've got right now a total of 431 programs. Within K-12, that's 285, tech centers 146. A total of 39 marketing programs. Those are on the uptick. Those went down for a little bit, but I think especially in our K-12 schools, they're starting to see more value in those. They're bringing them back, which we think is awesome. And then on the BITE side, which is business and IT, we've got 392. Next slide. Our framework, and this is what our technology centers use when building out their programs. This is a lot of work, and I'm not going to bore you with all the details, but shout out to Shauna Nord's group, IMD, for all of their help on this because it is a lot of work. We have 51 state program areas just within our division, and that breaks out to 71 total local programs that technology centers can build from this framework, which is a lot. And so we're not going to cover all that today, but I just want to kind of give you a quick little overview of that. Next slide. This is a really exciting part for this next year for 23-24. We got 11 new courses in working with our group and SDE approved for Oklahoma Promise, which of course are those courses that high schools want towards high school graduation. A couple of them that I'm excited about: 3D animation, drone technology, broadcast production. Those are really courses that interest high school students. And so it's exciting that we've got some more of those approved for that credit. So that gives us 55 total, by the way, now. New programs for 23-24. Excited to have these on board as well. Lawton, this is the third year in a row that Lawton has added a program. And so they've got really good programs going on down there. And they've got a really neat, I think they call it a Life Ready Center down there, where all of their high schools from that one area go to that center to learn. And so they're continuing to add more and more CareerTech programs. And we're loving what they're doing down there. So next slide. Okay, so as I said before, and before Paxton comes up here, my first job within BMI was her job, state advisor. And I thought, man, I was doing a really good job at the time until I got out of that role and Paxton took over. And through my time with CareerTech, I've served on national boards. I've went to other states and looked at what those state advisors are doing. There's no doubt I was not doing the job that I thought I was doing. Paxton goes above and beyond for our students and what she does. She's not just one of the best in Oklahoma, she's one of the best nationally. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Paxton.
Okay, good morning. And like Mark said, I do have the privilege of overseeing 2 CTSOs. So we're going to take those one at a time to give them their space. We'll get there in a second. But as just a brief introduction, I inherited the 2 CTSOs. I've had them for about 5 years now, so I'm kind of in my groove. We've gone through COVID and navigated that. So we're happy to be back in person, and the students are ready to go. So it's an exciting time to be in a student organization in CTSO world. I'm a product of CareerTech, a product of CTSOs. So it's truly an honor to walk the halls of CareerTech and to give back to the students in this way. So let's look into what DECA is. It was actually helped, Oklahoma helped form DECA. We have an older association than the National Association actually is. So before we get too far into our year in review, if you'll go to the next slide, I have a video to show you what DECA is. Okay, and that's just a video that we provide to our instructors. They can use that for students. We can throw it on social media because really my job at this agency is to create resources and support for our instructors so that then they can give back to our students and help them thrive. If we can go to the next slide, please. Perfect. We go one back, please. Thank you. No. This is fine. We can stay right here. Okay, so looking at number 1, I just have a year in review for you. We had a wonderful school year. Our high school, we had 1,529 students. We are back to our pre-COVID numbers, so we're thrilled with that. DECA is on the lower end of membership right now, but when you look at our percentages, we only have 40 chapters, and they are doing the most. So those 40 chapters are spread all around the state, and they're sending us those 1,500 students. We have recently, we're in our second year of collegiate DECA. It is a different charter, and we have 28 collegiate members that spread around 3 chapters. Our goal is to start showing our technology centers that we have a place for their adult students now. DECA is no longer just for the high school age. Moving on to our initiatives this year, these are all new things that we wanted to accomplish this year. So we have our Aim for Glass initiative. DECA internationally is huge. There are 22,000 students who go to our international competition every spring. So our 1,500 look pretty tiny compared to that. So our goal is to get on stage as much as possible this year at internationals. So we created a 5-part Aim for Glass initiative that included competition training all throughout the year for both advisors and teachers. And when we get to number 4 shortly, I'll show you how that paid off this year. We also had our partnerships. This year, we were excited to add Oklahoma City University as a platinum level sponsor. They provided scholarships in the amounts of $1,750 and $500 to every single first place, second place, and third place winner at our state competition, and that included team events. So that was huge this year. We had our Chapter Diamond program, which is an incentive program for our chapters where they can earn rewards and recognition for things that they're already doing. So a chapter who is just doing the bare minimum can get a bronze award, and we have all the way up to diamond level where they're doing above and beyond type things, and they get better awards with those types of things too. And then just additional advisor training. That's always going to be in our initiatives. We want to help those teachers, especially with the turnover that we've seen in the last few years, giving them as much training as possible. Okay, moving on to the next slide, please. Our state accomplishments this year, like I said, we were back to pre-COVID attendance numbers. DECA hosts a fall conference in collaboration with BPA. So their side of it, they had 328 attendees. That's a one-day conference full of leadership training. We host that in Norman every year, and so that's a great conference for them. Usually chapter officers come and get training about how to lead their chapters for the year. We have a Dodgers Career Day where they get to go to Dodger Stadium in OKC and hear from their GMs and their sports marketing and in a panel situation. So they're asking questions. We had 400 of our DECA members attend that this September. And we had our Career Development Conference, which is our state competition. We had 541 competitors. On the collegiate side, being our second year, we had 16 members compete, which I want to highlight because we only have 28 collegiate members. So percentage-wise, having 16 of them move on to state competition, we're really excited about, and we can't wait to help grow that more. Moving on to the next slide, thank you. So on the international level, DECA and collegiate DECA are broken up. So we actually just wrapped up going to both of those international conferences. So the first one I attended was the Collegiate DECA International Conference, and we have our very first executive officer from Oklahoma in our second year. So in essence, she's a national officer, but DECA is international. And she's from the University of Oklahoma's chapter, which was started this year. She was my collegiate state president this last year. We are so proud of her. And we cannot wait to see what we do at the international level this year and how we can expand Oklahoma having this presence with our very first executive officer. Okay, next slide. And our Aim for Glass initiative did pay off because we got on stage 3 times in that sea of 22,000 people, and we had 3 top 10 international finalists. So our goal next year will be to actually bring home some glass. So that is the goal there. So it was a successful trip to Orlando. I was there for about 10 days for competition and everything, so it was fantastic. Moving on to the next slide. What do we do at our state conference? That's always something that you wonder. All of you are invited to our state conferences, but I do have a quick video to show you about what DECA State Conference looks like. Okay, we can move on to the next slide, please. In July, that is ready to roll out. We're rolling out registration this week. And increased advisor support, like I mentioned, that's my job at the state agency, is to help our teachers. And then program and chapter growth. As I mentioned, our programs are doing the most. We have great percentages of participation. So how I envision Oklahoma DECA growing is to add programs. We need more marketing programs in more schools. And then, of course, just increasing our collegiate DECA involvement, showing those tech centers that we do have a place for their high school and their adult students. Okay, moving on. Thank you. We'll move on to my second CTSO, and this is the CTSO that brought me into CareerTech, so I do have a special place in my heart for BPA. So we'll go. While they're figuring that out, I can talk briefly about BPA. BPA is thank you. For our business students, we are the largest post-secondary delegation in BPA. So, and you'll see in our numbers later that we dominate post-secondary at the national level. As far as secondary, we're the third largest state, and we do very well with our BPA teachers. So just like DECA, I do have a short video to show you about what BPA is. Okay, we can move on to the next slide, please. Okay, so looking at BPA's year, we are back up to our pre-COVID numbers and then some. So we had total between our middle level, secondary and post-secondary, so we go all the way from 7th grade all the way to we could have a returning student as an adult. 6,120 members. We have 253 chapters all around the state in both K-12 programs and technology centers. Moving to the next slide, please. Our initiatives this last year include our Professional Cup initiative. That includes community service, awards, and kind of like what your state is doing the best in BPA. So we had an initiative to bring that home in every single division this year. Again, we had a partnership with Oklahoma City University. They not only sponsored DECA, but they sponsored BPA as well. So we were able to give out in all of our 157 competitions, team included, $1,000 to first place winners, $750 for second place, and then $500 for third place. So that included a lot of students. And then our STAR Chapter program, similar to the Diamond program, is an incentive program for our schools to be doing what they need to be doing, both in CareerTech roles and through BPA, with our gold level being the highest. And then just increased advisor training. Moving on to the next slide, please. our fall leadership conference. We had 1,650 BPA students attending that leadership conference. We had 1,600 attending Dodgers Day. So if you're adding those numbers up, yes, we took 2,000 kids to a baseball game this last September. And then state leadership conference, we had 1,644 students all competing. Moving on to the next slide. Nationally, we had 1 Presidential Volunteer Service Award winner, so they did get a letter from the president, and 14 national quality chapters. So those are chapters that are doing the best of BPA. And we had 100 top 10 finalists. 77 of those were our post-secondary students, so that's a huge number. Of those 100 top 10 finalists, 22 took home first place awards from nationals. We were thrilled with our success. We were in Anaheim this year. It was the largest nationally attended conference. There were about 6,000 people there. So it was a good year for BPA. Okay, so moving on. What do we do at our state conference? And I have a video for that as well. Okay, and our next slide, please. Okay, so just a quick vision for this next year. We are hosting the first ever National Student Leadership Summit in Oklahoma City. I was actually giving tours to national staff this last Monday and Tuesday. We took them to several technology centers and all of the OKC sites they might need to see, but they're going to be bringing in student chapter leaders and state officers from all over the nation into Oklahoma City in August. So we're very excited to be hosting them and have that opportunity to showcase what Oklahoma CareerTech is. We will have increased advisor support, training, and resources related to curriculum. That's one of our biggest pushes with BPA, is to provide that co-curricular aspect and give them resources where they can plug BPA into what they're teaching in their classrooms. Chapter growth and membership. We have the chapters. We just need to get our participation and membership up, so that's our goal. And then professional cup initiatives. We brought home the post-secondary cup this year, but we're going to strive to get the middle level in secondary and post-secondary next year at nationals. And then new state competitions. You heard Mark briefly mention some of our new courses. So we're going to be rolling out some state competitions to beta test those before we send them on to nationals as a recommendation. And those included that we have content for already are drone tech, real estate, photography, and gaming. So we've realized some needs where we have students in certain curriculum, but they don't have a competition to align with that to practice their skill set. So we're very excited about that. Okay, and if you'll move on to the next slide, please. That's all we have for you today. So if you have questions for Mark or myself, we're here and happy to take those. Okay, thank you so much for your time.
So awesome presentation. I do have a few questions if you want. Yeah, sorry, I was going to try to grab you before you got off there. So, and just so we understand kind of broadly speaking how these organizations work, they are usually based inside the high school, inside the K-12 institution, correct?
Yes, and our technology centers.
So it's both though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But there is a lot of a presence inside high school. You go down and see a Deca room.
Oh, yes, for sure. And if you want a list of those that you can go tour, I can give those to you. So we are all over the state. I'm from the Panhandle, and that's where I found BPA. So that we are every corner.
And I'm kind of asking just so we have the conversation. I worked right next to a Deca room in our high school, and it was one of the most popular parts of the school. And so And when we're seeing these programs, what this does is it allows students to be involved in these really post K-12 experience while still being in high school, while still being in the career tech. But as you've kind of walked us through there, they get these experiences that are very much outside the typical K-12 experience, right?
Exactly. So in a lot of our schools, they're running school stores that's part of their class. They go and they will run the cash register and they pick what's being stocked and they have to provide the marketing. And so we're giving them this real life experience in a controlled environment so that then they can go out and thrive when they leave. And then, the other aspect of CTSOs is you'll get kids who get to leave their hometown for the first time and get on a plane for the first time and go to a city and then present to judges their ideas. This last year, we had a collegiate DECA student who presented her company idea to judges. She's starting that this June. She's opening her own company in Edmond. It's in the podcast that Mark mentioned earlier. And that all started in her DECA classroom. It was a dream that she came up with as a DECA project, and she has rolled that out to start a company this year.
And so can I ask you, do you guys, when you choose to engage in, any of the few, and I am getting used to the BMIT acronym there, but when you're looking at a specific type of workforce, is that a conversation that you all have every year of we're going to talk more about this industry, or is it organically that the students kind of get to choose that as they're developing these skills out if they want to?
So at our level, we're looking at what programs are in our schools, and we want to provide opportunities to match where they're at. So that's where drone tech, if that's popular, I'm going to make a competition so that you can hone your skills in drone.
So if I may, a lot of that happens from the grassroots, from the instructor seeing that there's a need in that area. So then they come to the state office, and that's why we have the increased courses. And then we have those frameworks with the 50s and the 70s of all these different pathways that people can take because it started from the grassroots level.
So is it fair to say it is agile enough that if you guys saw some particular type of workforce initiative that's really locally popular or that industry is getting involved with, these CTSOs are agile enough to go, all right, that's going to be what we lean into next year or the following year?
That's
fair.
Oh,
That's exactly what we do.
And exactly at the state level, at least for both of my CTSOs, I am able to create state contests and things like that. So even if they're not being offered nationally, we can create an environment that is perfect for our students in Oklahoma.
I also just wanted to add to that real quick, if I may. Some of that is industry driven as well, because 2 years ago, the Oklahoma Insurance Commission had gotten a hold of a big company down in Texas and said, hey, we are short on insurance agents, adjusters, all of this. How do we get more students involved in Oklahoma to go down this pathway? And so, of course, we got with them, industry involved, and so we brought in a new program, insurance representative, got a hold of this company, and now we have another pathway for them as well. So some of it's industry driven as well as we add some of those programs as well.
So what often we get asked, why do we know or how do we know that CareerTech is in Oklahoma is better than everywhere else? And part of the reason for that is because we're built by the demand side, whereas typical education is built by supply side. We use what is needed to shape what we have. So whereas we don't create the same pathways all the time, we change those based on the need.
So like for the insurance representative that you just talked about, how long did that take from start to finish to have a program ready?
It took about 6 months. We had one school, Central Technology Center there in Drumright pilot year one. And I believe going into this year, we now have 4 technology centers that have added that to their program offering for 23-24. So, and that's the crazy thing about our division, right? Because technology changes so fast. It's really hard to stay on top of it. And, that's why drones coming, all these different things are coming. And so it's a full-time job just to try to stay on top of all of that and the latest trends out there, especially when it comes to resources and helping our teachers find the latest and greatest resources and tools to keep their students engaged and keep them moving forward.
One of the advantages also of CareerTech, we have the flexibility of being able to have local or industry driven, but then you see on your slide presentation of all the partners you have, the corporate partners, they call, Warren Cat calls and says, hey, we need some more, we need some more technicians. So, okay, well, we'll add another class or another section in this area. Avionics is really hot right now. Mm-hmm. So That's what we do now in some areas. So that's the advantage of CareerTech. We have that flexibility and industry and corporate partners that are with us in that. So.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you, what are the barriers that CTSOs face? Is it capacity? Is it, as you're competing with other programs in a school or classes? I'd be interested to know. It's always, all my experiences is it's one of the most popular. It's one the kids are very excited about. But what are the barriers that you guys face?
So I think the biggest one, which everyone faces, is funding. Obviously, it costs money to be a member. It costs money to put on conferences and things like that. There's registration fees. So funding's the overall one, but we've kind of figured that out a little bit. So we're doing okay with that.
Could you just give me clarity? How is the funding structure and how has that changed?
It is different. We allow the local schools to choose how they fund their CTSOs. So some of them are funded and they can pay for $400 worth of their memberships with the money they receive from CareerTech, but that's just $400 worth. They have to then fundraise, or they're raising money from their school stores or things like that to fund the rest, or it's student paid. So they base it off of what their community needs. If their students can pay a lab fee or something like that, they may do that, but we leave that local control there.
Is it pretty popular? Local businesses, do they?
They do. It depends on the business. Obviously, in smaller towns, they're getting asked for money all the time, and things like that. So all of our schools do it very differently. And like I said, they have found a way to make it happen because it is important. They see the value in it. I would say our next biggest challenge is that the students that are attracted to CTSOs in general are students that are involved in everything. So I think that's the biggest deterrent right now too, is that students just want to try to do everything, and then they're figuring out their passions and things like that. So some of the things have to slide. So that's the biggest thing. But really, it's just we have to get ahead and provide the most up-to-date engagement for them so that they want to join our CTSO.
Now funding was brought up, I'll just throw this in. I think we have, Director, we have like 100 requests and probably maybe 100.
We have 181 waitlisted programs for CTSOs. Yeah.
And there's around 100 in the schools that are unfunded from CareerTech because it's so important to them to have that program.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I've never heard of the collegiate members. So just could you give me a little bit more information on that? So is that a newer, you mentioned it was somewhat newer.
It's new in Oklahoma. So DECA has had it, and traditionally Oklahoma has just had DECA, which is for high school students. It is newer internationally for DECA, but Oklahoma, we pulled it in 2 years ago. We brought it into our bylaws and things like that. We got a state officer team involved simply because we do have in our system, we have both high school and post-secondary students, and we want to be able to offer something to them. It was a way that we can grow, and that's why I'm here too, is to help DECA grow and be successful in the future. So last year was our first year. We brought home a first place award from nationals. We had 2 chapters, and then this year we have 3 chapters, and we brought home our executive officer. So we'll see what year 3 brings us.
So what type of, is that your, the adults in the CareerTech system that are largely involved? Okay.
It can be. So mostly in Oklahoma, that's where I see it going once we grow. We are growing organically right now. So we do have more university members right now because it's students that have graduated from a school with DECA and they're taking DECA to their university. So we have OSU, OU, and then we have Kiamichi Tech Atoka right now. So I'm hoping that as we grow, that's where our students are, is in our technology centers. But we're never going to deny a chapter of a student who loves DECA and goes to a university. Why not? So.
Yeah, I did not know about that. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Again, just a lot of great stuff going on there, and so I appreciate the context and the update on the work going on there. Next on the agenda, we have item 4, management action items. So we've got Dr. Lockwood, who's going to, I think, run down through the first 3 of these. So we'll go ahead and bring up Dr. Lockwood.
The general rule is never follow a student speaker. I think you could very quickly loop in, never follow someone's talking about students. So I will try to be short and sweet, but I am here to visit with you and ask your approval of our lottery expenditures. We receive funds from the state lottery, and those funds are expended either through scholarships or through grants to tech centers and K-12 schools. First on the list is lottery, so I think in your packet you have the numbers for FY23 lottery scholarship recipients. The total dollar amount for the 408 scholarships is $437,081.99. And that, those scholarships do go towards career tech educators, those working on career tech education, those working on administration in that arena as well.
Does anyone have any questions about the areas there?
So can you, first of all, tell us, so what are we?
Okay.
Yep.
We receive a little less than $5 million lottery funds in our agency. We do basically a 45% to K-12 schools for technology grants, and then 45% goes to the tech center for technology grants. 10% we give to career tech educators who are improving themselves or working on additional certifications, or somebody in the pipeline becoming a career tech educator.
So just for clarity, all those numbers you just gave right there percentage-wise, that's not something we decide, that's obviously, that's in the.
I think, and that's something the director and I have been discussing, that's something I think the board has decided in years past. That is fluid. The agency can, the board and the agency set that. That's not set by statute, if I'm correct, Mr. Hammonds. That's not.
Right.
So it needs to be technology. We don't buy bovine transportation devices. Those aren't eligible. Stock trailers. We can't buy those with lottery funds. You can draft your application creatively, but we're not going to approve that.
One of the things, Director, for just to bring us up to date, whenever the lottery started years ago, we worked on the projected numbers with CareerTech. The board made the decision years ago. These are actual numbers from last year, so these are
Correct.
Yes.
These are not projected numbers. These are real dollar numbers. So,
Yes.
We have the money in the bank.
yes.
We're now asking your permission to spend it at these rates, because we're not predicting what we're going to have.
So really what you could do, and Justin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you guys had any questions, please ask them. And if not, we would entertain a motion to approve as presented, but ask questions and have discussion that you would have.
We approve the lottery scholarship summary.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do you mind calling roll, Ms. Jones?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Hanning?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Superintendent Walters?
Yes. All right, so we have approved the lottery scholarships. So next, Dr. Lockwood is
Yep.
We did scholarships. Grant awards is a separate item, right?
Yes, it is.
Got it.
Yep.
Next on your list, you will see K-12 lottery grants. The grant applications, just for the board's information, board's knowledge, are broken into content area, into program area. And then we take the total funds, which this year was a little over $2,200,000, and we basically worked on getting a percentage. So in other words, you see, if you look at the sheet, there are more ag lottery grants awarded than there were STEM or other divisions. That's not that we like ag more. Ag submitted more applications, and so we try to keep the percentage. So every division's numbers, it was right around 62-65% of their grants were approved. So that number is, like, say, based on, there's nothing magical about 62-65%. We just had to crunch the numbers until we spent the $2,200,000+. And that's the program list we came up with. The program areas themselves rank their grants. That is done, so each program area is making a determination of which programs and where they're expended. And you see they're a $15,000 max grant.
One thing I would add while you're thinking about questions is often we get asked, why would we approve programs if we don't have funding from the agency? This is one of the reasons why we go ahead and approve them. If they meet the criteria, then they're eligible for a grant.
Move for approval.
Second.
Ms. Jones, we have a motion and a second. Do you mind calling roll?
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Hanning,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham, Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Superintendent Walters.
Yes. Motion is approved. So next we have discussion and vote on lottery grant awards.
This will be for the tech center side of the house, and you see that dollar amount is $2,119,494. If the board's questioning why the two are different when we said they're 45%, at the end of each year, we will have unspent funds from the schools, where a school will not claim all of their dollars. They will not submit the required invoices to receive their funds. Those carryover funds are carried over to the next year, and then we spend them. So you see the difference between the K-12 and the tech center side. Somebody didn't spend money last year, and we left it in that area and rolled it over and carried it forward. The tech center side does have competitive grants as well as a non-competitive grant, if that makes sense. And you see the two different dollar amounts. One's $110,000, and then the lower amounts are $50,000. And you can see the $50,000 are the competitive grants, where the 110 was non-competitive. If they receive a non-competitive grant, they cannot receive one the next year, so they can't 2 years in a row get that grant. So, any questions?
Move we approve.
Got a motion and a second. Ms. Jones, you mind calling roll?
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham,
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Ms. Hanning,
Yes.
Mr. Hillary,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman,
Yes.
Superintendent Walters.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Lockwood. Appreciate you very much. Next, we've got discussion and vote on proposed state board meetings for the next year by Director Haken.
All right, you guys should have in the back of your packet, you should have a little one-pager that gives you the meeting dates and locations. And those are up for discussion now. We did have on there, from what I understand, we always have at least one site that we go to that's usually at a tech center or a K-12 site. So we have one of those that's Thursday, November 21st, and then we have one meeting in Stillwater at our offices. That's September 19th. And
I would like to see us go to the tech centers, make sure
Okay.
we do visit them. And, I know we haven't gone to one of them since I've been on the board. I know even though we put them on the schedule.
Yeah.
I would like to see us try to do that, even if it's one here in Oklahoma City or area, just because it's easier for everybody to get to.
yeah, that'd be,
Gordon Cooper's a great place. It's close.
might be right by Randy's house too. Hey, I'm up for that. I like seeing as many school sites as we can. What I would say is summer's probably not great because there's not students there typically. So I don't know that would be ideal. Deep into the spring is CTSO season, so that sometimes is more difficult for them. Not that it can't be done. Fall is more advantageous probably for the school sites. Yes, Lee? Yes, you can. Oh, yeah, you mean the September meeting? Yep, we could. Yep, that's for September, but yeah, it could be a summer meeting. It's a great suggestion. Thank you, Lee. Up to you guys on how you want to do it. Is there any suggestions before we have a motion? Some days. Be careful what you say. Thoughts?
If we approve the proposed meeting schedule and we choose to change a location, we can do that.
From what I understand, yeah,
Yes. So, yes.
basically you're approving dates right now. Meeting locations can change and just meet within the posting guidelines for a open meeting.
So do we want to make a note that we will move up the Stillwater date to the summer, and then we'll just make another one, whatever one the director decides to be another site visit, so we could do 2 site visits in the fall?
You guys for that? All right,
I think it's a great idea.
good.
We're gonna decide which site, like.
Oh, geez.
Well, it's whoever puts in the most on a sealed bid.
You can't use beef jerky, that's not.
Oh, that's not fair at all. Not fair. All right, is there any other discussion that I can help with? If not, we would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Ms. Jones, will you call roll?
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Hanning?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Superintendent Walters?
Yes. All right, so that's everything on the agenda. We didn't have any new business?
Nope.
Nothing else? So do we have any motions to adjourn? Okay, got a motion, got a second? Can we call roll, Ms. Jones?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Hanning?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Superintendent Walters?
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for attending today.
We have adjourned, but I would like to thank Superintendent Walters and Director Aiken for coming to the State FFA Convention that was held in Tulsa first couple of days of May.
It was fun.
Glad to be there.
It was very good.
A good group.
I know we mentioned earlier about you all mentioned earlier about the staff meeting. I know I went to it last year in Stillwater, and if anybody has a chance to go, it's worth the time to take and go up there and be around the staff members and everything.